Hello everyone, I'm Peter, and this is my incredible story of how I went from a broke 14-year-old boy abandoned by his parents to become the most feared gangster in the entire world, the Godfather. But let's slow down a little. Today, I'll tell you about my evil parents and how they sold me to Yakuza. I walked into a house full of bad guys waiting for me with knives and ready to lift me by my collar for not paying $10 million. They tried to chop off my fingers, and their sinister boss charged with a sword towards me. Luckily, though, I survived. And now, I'm present here to tell you my roller coaster of a story. Before I begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Everything started when I was 14 years old and moved to Japan with my parents. My dad said that he had got a job offer from some big company. He gave me no further explanation. See, here's the thing. My dad used to earn a lot of money from whatever job he was doing. But I was still poor. All his money was reserved for my mom, and, of course, for himself. I was used to being treated like extra baggage by my parents. I'd learned early on that I shouldn't expect any form of affection from them. They didn't care about what state I was in, or if I needed anything. If I ever requested anything from them, they would insult and scold me in such a way that my whole day would be ruined. So, I stopped talking to them a long time ago. And, well, who was I to complain if my dad didn't want to spend money on me? He must be working hard to earn it, so he had the right to use it however he wanted. I got a part-time job in a restaurant because I needed the bare minimum to survive. My parents weren't going to pay for my education. I enrolled myself in some online programs with whatever little money I had from my job. I used to spend my day locked up in my room solving mathematical problems. And during nighttime, I used to work my shifts at the restaurant. In short, I had no social life. Or friends. And since it was a foreign country, the feeling of loneliness only got worse. My only dream was to somehow make it to adulthood. And then leave my parents' home. Surviving on my own was no big deal. I was already doing it. One day, I was cleaning tables at the restaurant when my gaze flickered towards the TV. I did a double take when I saw a very familiar face on the news. It was my dad. He had been arrested for his involvement in illegal activities. I was frozen to my spot for a few seconds. What did he do? Is this why he never revealed anything about his job? Now it all made sense. How he earned so much in such a short frame of time. I was a fool for believing that he was talented, or that he was working hard. He opted for the easy and the illegal way. My phone started buzzing suddenly, making me jump in surprise. No one ever called me. Heck, no one even knew me. I kept the phone for emergency purposes. I checked to see that it was my mom calling. "Peter, where are you? Come back home right now!" she yelled as soon as I received the call. "Why are you never present when I need you?" "I'll be there in 5 minutes," I replied. Mom must have been pretty shocked. I mean, why else would she even call me? We hadn't talked properly in years. I just hoped that she was not in any kind of trouble. As far as I knew, she wasn't involved in Dad's job, so she should be safe. When I entered the house, there was no one in sight. I called out my mom and heard her voice coming from the living room. I rushed in there to find her on the floor with a couple of Yakuza men holding knives over her head. Crap. What was happening? My hand automatically went to my phone, but this didn't go unnoticed by the Yakuza, and one of them lurched forward to seize me. The phone dropped from my hands. "We will leave quietly if you just give us what we want," one of them said. "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Your dad owes us $10 million, he replied. "Just pay the sum, we will let you go." What the heck? $10 million? How are we supposed to give him that much money? I barely had $10 in my wallet. Mom glared at the men. "Why are you doing this to me? It's not like I owe you the money directly. I didn't even know about this until today." "Blame your husband," the man replied. "His actions cost us $10 million, and now his stupidity got him caught. We're going easy on you. In most cases, we just get rid of the families. Mom gulped. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. I just have a $1 bill, but I can offer you a deal. What deal? The man frowned. You can take my son, Peter. He's a very hard-working boy. If anyone's capable of paying you back, then that's him, she said. What? I exclaimed. Are you freaking serious? How can you say such things, Mom? Shut up! Adults are talking here. Don't interrupt. She glared at me. No, I said. I've been doing that for 14 years now. I won't let you play with my life. Deal with your own crap. I'm not responsible for this. Enough with the freak show, the Yakuza man said in a deadly tone. Either pay us, or get ready to say your goodbyes. My mom suddenly jumped in her position and tossed the $1 bill at me. Everyone gaped at her in surprise. Without missing a beat, she dashed towards the window and jumped out. No! I yelled, trying to run after her, but all the men surrounded me. I was grabbed by the collar and dragged towards the main door. They didn't even try to chase my mom. They tossed me inside a car and brought me to their boss, saying that I was the only person they found at the house. I was made to kneel in front of the boss as they held the tip of a sharp sword close to my neck. I glanced up slightly to see that a girl was standing beside the boss. I could tell from her features that she was his daughter. She had her eyes covered, as if she couldn't bear to watch the scene unfolding in front of her. Her father slowly proceeded towards me with a sword in his hand. It's a shame that I will have to kill you, he said calmly. You seem like a useful one, but I care about my money more. If you can't give me the cash, then pay with your life. He raised his sword in the air, ready to strike. Stop! I yelled. I'll pay back your money! Everyone went silent for a few seconds. Then, the men started laughing. Moments ago you were groveling at our feet, begging us to spare your life, one of them said. And now suddenly you can pay us back. It's truth that I don't have such an insane amount of money, I replied. But I want to make a deal. Give me 10 months. I'll arrange the money by hook or by crook. The boss shook his head. That's too long. Then how about I pay you $1 million every month? I asked. He gave it a thought. I was almost certain that he would refuse, but his daughter came forward and called him. What is it, Hannah? He frowned. I think you should give him a chance, she said. You said so yourself. He seems quite useful. Let's test him. The boss nodded, turning to me. Fine. I will let you go on the condition that you have to pay me $1 million every month. And if you fail to do so during any of the months, then you will have to compensate by giving one of your fingers. By the end of the 10 months, you will either pay everything back or we get rid of you along with your last finger. My eyes widened. This is final, kid. He cut me off. Take it or leave it. The choice is yours. Okay, it was still better than losing my life on spot. I had to find a way to pay back everything once they let me go. I was lucky enough that he agreed to strike a deal. It wouldn't be a good idea to test my luck any further. I took a deep breath and nodded. Okay, it's a deal then. I'll be back in a month to pay $1 million. And that's how my 14-year-old self walked out in the big bad world to earn $10 million. I only had 10 months to do so, and the time had already started. If you think that the story so far sounds intense and overwhelming, then wait till I tell you the rest of it. I probably experienced the worst things any person ever could, but it was all part of the journey. The journey to become a godfather. Hi everyone, it's Peter again. Last time, I told you about how the Yakuza boss tried to take my life, and let me go on the condition that I will give him $10 million in 10 months. Today, I'll show you how I got rejected for hundreds of jobs and ended up getting stuck in a dark alley with an evil-looking stranger who was carrying a sharp sword. Luckily, an Instagram message came to my rescue and saved my life while making me a millionaire. For those of you who like romance, this is also the beginning of my love story. But before I start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to show your support. I started my job hunt as soon as the Yakuza boss let me go. I went to various places asking for a job, but everyone refused. Why? Because I was a 14-year-old kid and they didn't think I was capable enough. Did I mention that I was kicked out of the part-time job I used to do? The owner found out about Yakuza and my dad. He didn't want to risk anything for himself, so he fired me. Just like this, I was rejected at 99 places. Yeah, I counted. And no, I'm not kidding. The 100th person I met for a job was a street vendor. He agreed to hire me as a full-time worker, but when we were discussing the salary, I kinda became desperate. "Please, give me $10 million in advance," I begged. "In return, I promise to work for you till I'm 100 years old." "Tell me you are joking," he said with a displeased expression on his face. "I'm not," I replied. "I really want to keep my fingers and my life." The next I know, I was kicked out of there. To be honest, I wasn't that disappointed. A street vendor couldn't have paid me $1 million a month anyway. I was just trying to convince myself, I guess. I returned home, totally depressed and dejected. Who in the world would give me that kind of money for a simple job? Not to mention, I was only 14 and not qualified for most jobs out there. My stomach started growling, and I remember that I hadn't eaten since I left home in the morning to look for jobs. I went to the kitchen and opened the fridge. It was empty. I was running out of food, money, and time. And an idea suddenly struck me. What if I took a flight back to the US and ran away from this whole mess? But again, it's not like I had the money to book the tickets. And even if I did manage it somehow, it was useless. The Yakuza had a strong presence around the world, and they would find me even if I buried myself 6 feet under. While I was worrying about jobs and money, I got a very mysterious text on Instagram. It was from Hannah, the daughter of the Yakuza boss. She wanted to meet me at a secret location. My first instinct was to refuse, but that would be a suicide mission. How could I say no to someone like her? But why did she want to meet me? Did her father finally decide to cancel the deal and end my life? My imagination took me to a very dark place. An image of Hannah striking me with her sword flashed in front of my eyes, and I shuddered in fear. I took deep breaths to clear my mind and agreed to meet her. It was my funeral either way. Might as well see what she wanted. She'd called me in a dark and shady alleyway. I was shivering from head to toe, and it was definitely not because of the chilly weather. Hannah arrived a few hours later. She was wearing a black robe and a mask was covering half of her face. I almost didn't recognize her, and thought that she was an assassin. I mean, the sword in her right hand was pretty scary on its own. But she pulled down her mask moments later to reveal an innocent and beautiful face. Such a contrast to her dark, evil appearance. She must have seen how pale my face was. "Sorry if I scared you," she apologized. "I can't have anyone recognizing me." "Why? Did you run away from home?" I joked nervously. "I did," she replied with a smile. "Just for tonight, because I needed to talk with you." Wait, what? Did that mean that she sneaked out just to meet me? So her father was not a part of this, and my story wasn't going to end in a dark alleyway? Oh, I didn't know how to feel about that. So why did you call me here? I asked. It's pretty obvious. I want to help you, Peter, she replied. I jolted back in surprise. What? Help me? Yeah, as unbelievable as it sounds, I'm really here to help you, she assured. So, You can relax. I didn't get it. What was her deal? She was related to a man who was after my blood and my precious fingers. And now she wanted to help me? You look like you've seen a ghost, Hannah remarked. Don't you believe me? No. I mean, how? Why will you help me? I asked. Well, you can say that I see myself in you. If you think that life is unfair to you, then you should have been around to see what happened with me, she sighed. I will not waste your time by going into the details. I just want to let you know that I am the real boss, not my father. Okay, what? Now she was just confusing me. I mean, my father is still the leader and all, she continued, but I'm the one who does all the work in the background. I've been in the business since I was 10 years old. I'm only 16 now, but I've learned and seen everything there is to see. I strike deals for my dad and bring him all the wealth and power. He's just an old fool who wastes his money on drinking and useless luxury. Whoa, was she really talking crap about her father right now? Was I supposed to agree with her or tell her that she was doing great? What if this was a trap to lure me into saying bad things about the Yakuza boss? More importantly, should I be recording the conversation? I bet such a piece of valuable recording would fetch me more than $10 million. But hey, the moment I leaked the recording, I would probably be saying goodbye to the world. So, no, I couldn't record. I decided to give Hannah the benefit of doubt and focus on her offer. I know you've been unable to find jobs, she said. And even if you do find one, it will be useless. But what if I offer you a job and pay you $1 million every month in salary? What? Working for such a pretty girl and getting $1 million for it? Was this for real? What's the catch? I asked cautiously. There's no catch, she smiled. As I said, I feel bad for you. You were wronged by your parents. I know how it feels to be abandoned, to crave love and affection. And I know what happened to you was unfair. You really don't deserve this. Unfortunately, I can't convince my dad to let go of you. But hey, I can always help you. So, are you in? Okay, so I needed to think this through carefully. A very pretty girl who I might have a slight crush on was offering me $1 million job, and there was no catch to it. Her reason was that she sympathized with my predicament, and this was her way of helping. Sounds unreal at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I became convinced that Hannah was a genuine person. I mean, why would she risk coming out to meet me and help me like this, even though this could potentially get her in trouble with her dad? She had a lot at stake. I'll be honest, she suddenly said, breaking my thoughts. I really think that you're quite capable. I want you to work for me so that your talent doesn't go to waste. Money isn't really a big factor. I have a lot lying around. I can easily spare $1 million a month. It won't even put a dent in my bank account. The audacity! Did she realize that I was broke? Why was she rubbing her wealth on my face? Ugh. Way to make me feel even more pathetic. But, yeah, she was right. I was in no position to refuse her or have a second thought. If I rejected her offer, I had nowhere to go. So, better take a risk and see where it goes than just hopelessly wait for 1 month to end and let my finger be chopped off. Okay, one last question. What kind of job is it? I asked. What are you good at? I guess math? I replied unsurely. Then I have the perfect job for you, she smirked. I hope it doesn't involve counting chopped off fingers, I laughed nervously. Of course not, she smiled. I won't make you do anything you don't like. I already have a lot of men for all the dirty work. You were made for greater things. So, I take it as a yes from your side? I released a breath and nodded. Thank you. I'll never forget this favor.